Springfield XDM. This is a tabletop review. You've been waiting for this review, viewers, and here it is. I've done a lot of research and put a lot of time into this video, so sit back, relax, and I think you're going to really get into this firearm. I would not purchase a firearm unless I really think it's up there in the upper echelon of guns, and this one really stands up there with all the others. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on the gun, give you some really cool high-def looks at it. I'm going to flip it over, show you the other side, and then we're fortunate today, I'm straight shooter, Mrs. Sweet Shooter is going to grab the camera while I hold it in my hand and I go over all the features. So let me zoom in on it, okay? And I'm not going to really say much now except take a look at everything. So therefore, when I do discuss it, you can say, oh wow, I see what he's talking about. Okay, take a look at the trigger, the slide, take a look at the grips, the serrations. Okay, that's this side here. Of course it's got a rail. I keep a light on it. I'll talk about that. Let's go to the other side. Here's the other side. Take a good look. I'll zoom in, 1080p. Weaponseducation.com on YouTube. This is a beautiful weapon. They really put a lot of technology into this firearm, and I really do like it. Alright, now I'm going to sit down. Okay, here we have the firearm in my hand, and I'm happy to say myself, straight shooter. I'm happy to say my wife, Mrs. Sweet Shooter, is behind the camera. She's not shooting any firearms today, she's shooting video. Say hello to the viewers, Mrs. Sweet Shooter.
Hi everyone. Well, it's great to be here, and thanks all of you for watching.
Okay, and thank you for your input and helping us do these videos, because I do appreciate it. Let's talk about the firearm. One of the first comments I want to make is I'm really up on this firearm. The XDM 4.5 inch barrel. What I like to do before I purchase a firearm to make sure that I'll be happy with it down the road is I want to look at a couple of things, particularly the slide, the material it's made of, and the frame, the material it's made of, the barrel, is it a quality barrel, things like that. So let's talk about the slide first of all. XD really got it right on this slide. First of all, it is forged steel and it has what's called melanite in it. Melanite is a raw material. It's a rare raw material, and they mix it in with the steel to give it a beautiful finish, and also therefore it'll keep its color for years. It will not scratch all that easy, and different manufacturers use different raw materials that they mix in with either aluminum or steel to make their products last longer. For instance, Smith & Wesson, they use what's called scandium. And that is, if you see my Smith & Wesson J-frame video on that small little J-frame revolver with the 5 rounds in it, watch that video because I give you a good lesson on scandium. And what Springfield does is they use melanite on this slide, and it's a beautiful, beautiful finish, super high quality. It's really not going to fade on you. It's going to be really tough to scratch, and I like the slide. Let's focus in on this here. You see these serrations? I like that. This gun is perfect for first gun owners. I'm going to get into that in a moment. But it's nice to have these serrations, but they're also deep. You see how deep they are? Therefore, when you pull back the slide, it pulls back. You can get a grip on it really easy, whether you want to pull it from the front or the rear. Okay? In this safety check firearm. Now, that's an important feature. Another thing I want to mention is the frame. The frame itself. What Springfield did, and this is important, I love my 6 Sauers, as you know. I own, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. And I really love my Glocks. Gosh, I have maybe 12, 15, 18 Glocks. Sometimes 3 or 4 of the same models. I think I got 4 29s alone. So I love my Glocks, I love my 6 Sauers. And now I'm also loving my Springfields. This is my first Springfield. I'm going to purchase more for this reason. When I look at the frame, which is a polymer frame, and I did my research to do this video, take a close look at the frame, and what I want to point out is the polymer has a very, very thick gauge on it. That means the width of it. it's very strong. It's built like a tank, this gun. You know, like Glocks, it's built like a tank. So that's what I like about the frame, is what it's made of is a very high quality polymer, and it's a thick gauge. What else do I like about the frame? Some little small things, little details. You know, ergonomics, you know, that's how it feels in your hand. You know, that's one of the first things you should do, of course, before you purchase a firearm, is put your hands on it and see how it fits your hand. Something as simple as this. Take a close look at this here. Yeah, see how they have the thumb slot there for your thumb to go? I mean, I like that. It's a thumb rest, and your thumb fits perfectly, whether you're a righty like I am, or if you're a lefty, both sides. Thumb rest. You know, take a look at the grip in itself. Look at the serrations into the polymer. It's just beautiful how they did it all around. And it's not a straight down block line, it's contoured for your hand. They really put a lot of research into this. They took a lot of good Sig Sauer ideas, especially on the breakdown. They took a lot of good Glock ideas, particularly on the polymer frame. And then, of course, they have their own engineers, and it's not rare for major manufacturers to get ideas from each other. I'll go in one of my vehicles, and then I'll drive a different vehicle the next day, and I'll say, hey, BMW took this idea from Mercedes, or vice versa. It's pretty normal with major manufacturers. What Springfield did was they got ideas from Sig Sauer and Glock, and they kind of put it all into one. And I love all three manufacturers. It's hard to beat a Glock, it's hard to beat a Sig Sauer, and this is also tough to beat too. This should be one of your top choices of a firearm. Okay, let's talk about some other features. Something as simple as a mag release. It's extended, it's nice. That mag pops right out. And that's an empty mag. And what else I like is the mag release, if we zoom in on it, is on both sides. Now, if you're a righty, you might say, well, that doesn't mean anything to me, right? Well, it does mean something. I'll tell you why. Take a zoom in on that mag release right there. I'll tell you why. Let's say in an unfortunate situation, your right arm is injured. Someone stabs you and you can't use your right arm. You get shot in the right arm by an attacker, by a bad guy. Now you're forced to use your left hand, which you should practice on your non-dominant hand at the range, by the way. That's what the military does for obvious reasons. In case your dominant hand is hurt and injured, and it's out of work there. So if you have to use your left hand, there you go. You can take your mag out. So I do like the feature of having a mag release on both sides. Well, let's talk about the barrel. You know, XD stands for Extreme Defense. M stands for Match Grade Barrel. I like the M to stand for mandatory for this gun, because it's Extreme Defense Mandatory, I'll just call it that. But let's talk about the barrel. It has a match grade barrel, which is of course the highest quality, and it also has melanite in the barrel, which strengthens it, which strengthens that steel. And that's an important feature. You do not have to ever upgrade the barrel on this. How about the trigger? The trigger is also a match grade trigger. That's on the M versions. You do want to get, if you're gonna get a Springfield XD, you might as well pay the extra approximately $100 and get the M versions, in my opinion, because you're going to get the match grade barrel, you're going to get some of the goodies I just spoke about, like the trigger, and just everything's a little bit upgraded on the M versions. What else can I tell you about this? How about the feed ramp? Let's take a look at it. The feed ramp is in there, Mrs. Sweet Shooter. That's, if you can get a look on that silver part, that shiny part up in there. There's no need for you to break this down and polish it out, because it comes right from the factory with a polished feed ramp. What else can I tell you about it? It's 8 inches overall length. Okay, you can get back in frame there. Which, you know, it's not a small gun. What I use this firearm for, the reason why I have the light and laser on it, you see that? You see the red dot? Is I specifically use this for home defense. Of course, if I pull the light off of there and that laser, you put it into a holster, you're good to go for concealment and carry. So it's good for either role. But for me personally, I have this in a specific place in my home, and someone goes peep in the night. If I want to, I can give up my position and I could I can let this laser and light blast them, intimidate them with the laser, and hit them in the eyes with this. It's like a 400 lumen light. It's very, very bright, and it even goes into strobe. So I particularly like the fact that it has a rail on it. That's another nice feature. The back strap. I'm just jumping around here as I look at the gun. The back strap is nice because it is a bigger gun, and like I talked about ergonomics and how it has that thumb rest, you can also, they give you 3 different back straps with different widths. So if you zoom in on that, I have the biggest one because I'm a big guy and I have big arms and hands. I chose the biggest distance from here to here, but you can thin it out significantly if you just changed the back strap. I think one of the most important features on this firearm is the safeties. You know, this is one of the reasons why, the main reason why I think it's great for first-time gun owners. And it's probably one of the most common questions I get is, what should my first firearm be? This might be your answer. It might. I'm just giving you ideas. You can do what you want with these ideas. But let me tell you about these safeties. Safety feature number 1, and this is not all that big of one, but zoom in on the trigger. And we're familiar with Glocks that have this little safety feature there. Okay, if you drop it, it's not going to fire even if it's loaded. And if you accidentally pull the trigger somehow from the side and it's loaded, it's not going to fire. This little piece here, if you zoom in on it, in front of the trigger, has to be pulled in there like that before it will fire. So that's safety feature number 1. But more importantly, safety feature number 2 is this right here on the back, which is the grip safety. And we've seen this on other versions of guns. And I like that for safety features. You can't pull the trigger like this, no matter what, the gun will not fire. It has to be in your hands and then it will fire, because this has to be pushed in. So for first-time gun owners, this is a good thing. If you accidentally pick this thing up and it's loaded and you would somehow try to pull the trigger like that, it's not going to engage, it's not going to fire. Your hand has to hold it like that. You probably know that already. But the 2 most important safety features on this gun, which you may not be aware of, on the top of the slide, right there, if you zoom in please, we have what is called a chamber indicator. You see that black line? I'm not going to load it, of course, but if it were loaded and there was a round in the chamber, this would pop up about 1/8 of an inch. So you can visually see that you have a round in there, and you can physically feel if there's a round in there. Of course, now it's flush. There's no round in there. That's a huge safety feature, especially at night in the dark. You're under stress. Something's going on at night. You grab your gun. You can just feel it. Oh, I can see it's empty. It's flush, or it's sticking up 1/8 of an inch. Oh, okay, I'm loaded. I'm ready to go. Here's another safety feature. This is called, if we zoom in right here, a decocking indicator. Right now, it's flush. You can physically feel it. If you zoom it in right there, you see that little round circle? If it were loaded and hot, there would be a silver pin sticking out approximately a good distance. I don't know, maybe like 1/8 of an inch. It sticks out pretty well. You know that there's a round in that chamber. So you can physically feel it, you can visually look at it, and the same thing up here on top. 2 huge safety features. So it's got a lot of safety features, and this is excellent for the first-time gun user. You know, what Guns and Ammo Magazine did is they did a torture test on this firearm recently, and they put 20,000 rounds through it over a 3-day period, and you know, this thing really held up well. It really ranks up there with all the other top manufacturers. They really tried to beat it to death, and it took everything they could throw at it, every type of ammo, different manufacturers' ammos, rapid fire, and they got it dirty, they got it muddy. This thing's built like a tank. So keep that in mind. I read all my magazines every month, and I read the reviews on all the firearms, and that's what really struck me about this, is how this really ranks up there with all the other manufacturers. Now the sights, let's talk about the sights. Mrs. Sweet Sugar, can you take a look at the rear sights? These are called dovetail sights, right here. Okay, now if there's one upgrade you may want to do is the sights. I'm going to do that, and take a look at the front sight right there. But what's nice is they make it so simple. You just slide them right out. See the side there? And you just put whatever sights you want in there. Alright, so the sights they're adequate, but you can definitely upgrade on the sights. Take a look at the top of the slide. Can you zoom in on that logo there? It's nice. I like these little attention to detail things. Really close right there. Springfield Armory. Okay, now, one of the last things I want to do, are you in frame now? Okay. Is tell you the goodies that this firearm comes with. I'm going to lay it down and show you this. I don't have the case it came with. I keep all my cases, like 75 to 100 cases, in a separate location. But it will come with this nice magazine holder, which goes on your belt. So this magazine, by the way, is super, super high quality. Steel, stainless steel. Look at that. Okay? So you got 13 plus 1 on your belt. You can buy another magazine and put it in here. So you have 13, 13. It's 26 rounds on your hip. And then you've got 13 plus 1 in the gun. So you got 14. That's a lot of rounds. You got 48 rounds. That's pretty strong. So I hugely highly recommend this firearm. Let's go into some other things. Another great feature on this firearm is how to break it down. I'll do that on another video because I'm going to show you how to break it down. I'm going to show you how to clean it and maintain it. But it is extremely simple. You pull the slide back, you pull this lever up, and you pull the slide off. You can do it in less than 4 seconds. There you have it. That's my take on this. One more thing I just realized. You see this? Zoom in on that, Mrs. Sweet Shooter. You see that little piece of, that's 3M tape? You buy this at Home Depot. It's called Safety Walk. Zoom in on that, please. You see that? And you cut it up. I use a pair of scissors like this, very sharp, made by what's called Joyce Chen, C-H-E-N. These are razor blade sharp. She's got a cutlery line online, Joyce Chen. But anyway, I cut up this, it's like sandpaper. It's designed for staircases so you don't slip. But I cut it up and I put it in certain spots on the firearm. Like right here, you can see it. You zoom in there. To give you a bit of grip. So if the gun gets wet, it's not going to slip in your hands. And I have a slice right here. You see that? So there we have it. That's my take on this Springfield 45 ACP. Highly recommended by myself. Highly recommended for all levels of shooters, for enthusiasts, for home protection, for concealment, for shooting at the range. Super high quality all around. If you're a subscriber, please tell a friend. If you're not a subscriber, I respectfully ask that you do subscribe. It's free. Just click that little subscribe button. And check out my videos. I'm doing 3 to 5 per week. I have a playlist on there, and scroll through some of the gun reviews, informative reviews. And I hope you got something out of this review. I really enjoyed doing this review because I really feel highly on this firearm. It's really a perfect firearm all around. It stands up there with all the other manufacturers. Alright, I'm checking out, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.